Yes, since he is here on a regular basis. So let's go right to unfinished business. Let's get to that later. Approval of the minutes. You all got a copy of the minutes. Any additions or corrections?
Looks good.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Ian and Matthew, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, okay, great. Police report, you know what? I got the police report and I forgot to forward it to you.
Well, do tell us, was there anything
I didn't
exciting?
look at it. No, I usually look at it before I send it, I didn't do either one. So we can conjecture what was in it. But most likely it was fairly typical, so.
Hot dog day will be the next one, so it'll be more
There'll be
exciting.
more, yes, there'll be more to report. Hot dog day is the 30th. Okay, code officer, do we have a report from the code officer? We do not. Okay, all right. Monthly report, do we have financials? All right. Do we have anything that we need to be aware of here?
There's nothing that jumped out that I had no questions,
Okay.
but that was a good start.
If you don't have questions, I'm gonna assume it's okay. So the only thing that's in is buildings, and that's because of the rescue funds are
Right.
put in there. That's okay. All right, so if there are no comments on the financials, we'll move forward. Correspondence, Northland Power.
It over there. I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, we got a document, it's like 25, 30 pages right here. And it's simply inviting people in the region to comment on the proposal. Okay, I believe that's what it said. Am I wrong?
Isn't that one to get assessment of views and stuff?
Yeah, something about EDR, which is the attorney for Northland Power, reaching out on behalf of the applicant, Northland Power, to request your assistance in identifying visually sensitive resources, existing and proposed sensitive land uses, potential visual simulation locations in the vicinity of the proposed facility. This will help inform the content of the visual impact assessment. And this was sent to a multitude of parties. Let me just see if I can find it here within ease.
I think it was at the end.
What's it at the end? Okay. No, that's not it.
They're asking for feedback.
Yeah. Here we go, distribution list. So it's sent to the town, Steve Kilmer, Doug Clark, historian, town of Andover, town of Ward, town of Wellsville, the county administrator, Keir Durham, Craig Clark, IDA, Craig Barak, historian, Office of Renewable Energy Siting, also known as ORAS, New York Office of Parks, Seneca Nation National Museum. So there you go.
I think it has to be back. I thought there was a date on it last time.
Feedback requests. Yeah. May 6th, so we're gonna have to get cracking. And this is dated April 6th.
Do you know if one went to the village?
No,
It's not on the list.
Yeah, I didn't, that seemed omission. If we're gonna ask Ward, we should ask the village.
yeah,
Yeah.
Probably Ward is because this is going to border.
I know.
It does seem like an omission. Well, there's no reason why the village can't comment on it.
sure.
And we have an extra copy of this I can give you.
Okay.
I got one, so you can have this.
I'll keep this one now. So anybody wants to look at it.
Yeah.
Does that show anything proposed as far as citing, or is it just overview of the plan still.
It has a number of,
I don't know if you can
Pics.
show that, Dan, the pictures.
What about it?
Can you show that to Matthew on that?
I mean, I can stop down and see. I'm just curious.
yeah. yeah.
Was that one emailed to us as well? or
No.
No, it came to me, it came to the town.
Yeah.
Would have been nice if it was emailed. That way we could really look at it.
I don't know how, maybe I'll see that.
There's different pictures of the different views from different roads.
Yeah,
where it's going.
They're not showing any potential location of the panel arrays yet, correct?
let's see.
Best thing to do is come down and look at it, Matthew. I don't think.
Yeah, I
it's gonna
definitely
be-
will.
Okay,
I'll be back in town after the weekend.
and actually, Jim, if you want to take that one, then I'll bring mine down to Jim. You want to do it that way? Is that, you okay with that?
Okay, as long as, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like the county planning board.
If they,
It's all- Yeah.
can we request digital copies?
That's
We can
what I
post
was
it to
gonna
the
say.
website?
If we could ask them in general to send us digital copies of things, it would make the dissemination of information a lot easier.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna double check. I don't think we got it.
I'm pretty sure we did. It came
Yeah.
out second.
You read it.
PDF.
It just that. No, just a hard copy.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, Wendy. It should. I mean, it's would be simple to do.
Well, that way we could put it on the website.
Yeah.
We could,
Yeah.
Fian could put it on the website.
We have to scan it on this page.
Yeah,
Right, but if we can get them to send us things electronically, it would just make sharing information a lot easier.
Yeah, I was just double checking my email, just to make sure that they had, but I don't show it there.
I don't want it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Was that correspondence? Jim?
There was one more thing.
Niner?
Yep.
Yeah, we got $533.29 back from Nimer.
And Bridge and Chad, I think it is, delivered the check in person today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The Nimer Board of Governors decided to initiate a program which would return initial capital contribution with interest made by each member when joining Nimer. So $533.
it wasn't like a 6-foot check that you held up, Jan? Photo op?
That'll be a lot more.
Add some zeros.
Yeah,
That's very good.
yeah, that would be nice. Okay, I think that's it for correspondence. General abstracts, let's see what we have. So, okay, so we have a payment to BBS, which is the first quarter, right? And healthcare, police, fire company. Nothing unusual there. Any comments on these bills?
I just wanted to make you aware of that bill for Constellation of $555.
Okay, what happened there?
I have no idea.
That's usually a very small bill.
It's usually, I was shocked Bob was here when he told me that we both.
Are we on
That's-
any kind of
That's supposed to be just for the carrier.
I was gonna say, because something like that happened to me last year at this time, and it was the energy supplier. I had at some point signed up for a variable plan that had run its course, and they re-upped the contract at a new price, and it happened to be a lot higher. So I had to haggle with them on the phone, but that was the supplier, not the delivery. And Constellation is the delivery, right?
Yeah, it's nice. It's the supplier.
Yeah.
So for just this building or the buildings here?
Yeah, well, it'd be, no, that was just one. We get 3 bills from them. We get one for the streetlights, one for that building, one for this building. So that was, yeah, I was shocked. We've never had a bill, probably over 100 something.
Maybe we should contact them before we pay this bill.
Electric's gone,
Okay.
I haven't seen more than double.
Yeah, delivery shouldn't be.
You can, the bill is in there if you want to see it.
Dan, did you get the receipt for this thing, for the camera? I'll email it to you. I can send it to you again. I think it was,
You can add it to the vouchers. And then we can.
Sure.
Just
Okay.
like that. They just make motion when you approve them to add voucher numbers and whatever the last number is for the amount. You know. So you can just add
it
it.
was $1,300.92.
Okay.
Laid out to you.
Yeah, that's for the owl.
How about I make a motion to pay these bills excluding Constellation until we investigate that, the 551, including the cost of the owl, $1,300.92. That makes sense. Second to that motion?
Yes, second.
Thank you, Wendy. All in favor, aye?
I,
Okay.
The big chunk of this says market energy day ahead, which I'm afraid doesn't mean anything to me. But there's the big chunk.
I think those bills are intended to be.
I agree.
Yeah, they're about as cryptic as they come.
But there's a piece of it that's 400 and something, and that was the words by it, market energy day ahead.
Yeah. 7 cents a kilowatt hour.
That's not bad.
No, it's not. The 5,600 kilowatt hours for the month, is that out of line with, usually they show you a graph of
Yeah, there
the
is.
usage. No, it's
Now, there's
not.
about 3 of those, though. You gotta get to the right one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The building's not being used as much because I'm only part-time.
That's the big one.
No, it was the next one. Keep going. There you go. Now you're on.
So January and February were quite a bit higher.
And is it every other month like mine at home? You know, they read it every other month, so
Yeah.
you get these swings.
Estimated actual,
Yeah,
yeah. Doesn't say what, if it's estimated or actual, but last month, 5,600 kilowatt hours. Last year, at the same month, was 3,400 kilowatt hours, so we are using a
That's
lot
a-
more power,
that's about double.
almost double.
Yeah. 75-80% increase.
Yeah, 64% up from last year. Yeah.
Wow.
And less hours in the building,
What's that?
and less hours anyways in the building.
That'd only be like $1,400 though.
I agree. Let's not pay it till we
Yeah.
can come to an understanding of it.
Okay, and we passed that resolution.
Right.
Good, okay.
Yeah, the per kilowatt hour rate might have been lower last year at this time.
Yeah, we'll see how
Probably
they say.
was.
We're not gonna take it lying down. Okay, let's go to the highway bills. So we have some hires. Hires for 2010. Stone, Enterprise, Salt. So, and then guide rail post replace, what was that all about?
Over on Pleasant Valley. He swung the corner and caught it with a plow.
Oh. Oh, we did. We,
Yeah. So the
Wow.
county came over, they got everything around and out, the county put it back together.
Our insurance cover
Good question.
yeah, that is a good question.
that? Right.
Mhm.
It's an accident.
So the county came over, so
So the 4160 is just for the metal?
Yeah, if it's wooden post.
Yeah, let's check with Nymer. And see if they'll cover that. Okay, is there anything else on here that's unusual that needs to be talked about? Everything else seems to be fairly routine. Is there a motion to pay these bills?
So moved.
I'll second it. All in favor, aye?
I,
All right, good. Thank you. Highway report,
Oh. Plowed roads, sanded roads, unplugged culverts. Ditching on Cherryberry, cutting brush on Cherryberry. Drain pipe on Canyon Road, driveway pipe on Canyon Road, started sweeping some. Started rooming the roads, cold patch down on some roads, fixed some road signs that were missing, all gravel for the shop for stockpile, removed plow wings on a 210 max, fixed the tarp on 10 max. Greased them, same thing, at Sterling, took the power equipment off, fixed the dump box floor on the Sterling. Moved the plow on the 14 max, fixed the tarp, had hydraulic leak, and I had removed the 5,500 pound sander. Cleaned up the shop, and I took an 811 training class.
not a busy month.
We can move around.
Have you given any thought to what roads you're going to be working on? Or, you know, this year, the CHIPS money, where it will go?
I'll probably do a little bit on this valley and see where I stand and go from there.
In my mind, we've been sort of working on the idea that we've got like 26 miles of oil and stone roads. If we get to them every 10 years, it's like 2.5 miles a year. So,
Try to do about 2 miles every year.
okay, that way we can cycle through with CHIPS every 10 years.
Yep.
Okay,
But if there's not a road changes, I see when we get things cleaned up here. And switch.
any comments for Bob? Okay, Bob, thank you. Supervisor's report. Okay. So I sent the letter to Crown Castle. It was essentially written by Fred Sinclair, a few edits by me, basically saying that they needed to, well, you all saw it.
Yeah, okay, I made a copy of it.
Yeah, basically saying they needed to submit a building permit and do a seeker and give us some information on the nature of the radio frequencies that would be coming from the tower. So we'll see what happens. My sense is that this is a company that's probably doing dozens of these across the country. And they may put us on the back burner, they may jump right on it, who knows? It could be like NICEAG, remember?
yeah, never heard a word.
We never heard a word, and I think that basically they figured we're small potatoes, they've got other things to do to get to us when they get around to it.
There's still no word, right?
No, nothing.
Hmm.
But at the time, we thought, oh my God, we're really going out on a limb here. But we did the right thing, and so far it hasn't come back to bite us. Okay, I am proposing that we institute a building permit fee specifically for cell tower modifications and erections. Because thinking ahead, like if they modify these cell towers and they have to stay within the boundaries of whatever the FCC comes up with as the new regulations, there needs to be some verification that in fact they're actually doing it. And so the building permit fee would cover our cost to have somebody monitor that.
So if we're
And that's
just,
not unlike what we're doing with the solar projects where we have a fee that covers our code officers' review of their work. So I'm throwing that out there. What does everybody think of that?
Are you thinking as a flat rate or a percentage or based on build time? How are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking a flat rate simply because it's the only thing that seems reasonable at this point, because what would it be, on the height of the tower? What's gonna happen now, I think, is the towers are just gonna be as they are, and they're gonna modify what the antennas up there.
Right.
Based it on the, the strength coming out, I mean, based it on things that, I don't know anything about, basically, so I don't know how else to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the two ideas I have would be fixed rate or a percentage of the cost of the upgrades. Or something based on the scale of the power output, but again, that's beyond my technical ability.
Yeah, and I don't know. Well, they would have to disclose the cost in the building permit, Jan?
Because right now the building permit is based on the cost of construction.
What about an upgrade? Are they required now to submit a?
We're asking for a building
Yeah,
permit for this upgrade. That's what we did. Yeah.
I'm not opposed to a fixed rate. I just don't know how we know what that needs to be.
I agree. My feeling is, let's put something down, err on the high side, we can always change it.
Just to play devil's advocate, is there anything, say, we're targeting this industry? Is there anything punitive, unfair, that we're targeting an industry? We set it up for solar, but that was new to us. Is there any, I just don't wanna trip into something if it seems vindictive, punitive, I'm not quite sure what the best word is.
Right. Well, based on what we did for solar, it doesn't seem like it would be out of line.
I agree,
But,
but we've never had solar before.
right. So, but if they're doing upgrades, that's a change to what has been there. So on the basis of just being able to protect the community by having some monitoring.
I'm not opposed, it was
Yeah, I
just,
understand. And whatever, if somebody wants to challenge it, they'll dig up all kinds of.
Without a
reasons.
doubt.
And I checked, and we don't have to pass a town law or anything for our fees. The town board can change our fee structure anytime we want to. We don't have to do it tonight, but I'm throwing it out there. for
I don't think it's a bad idea, it might be at least make people think twice before, this little town, we're just gonna trot all over them.
Mhm.
would the Association of Towns or Association of Counties have experience with anyone else trying to do such a thing?
We can check. I can certainly do that.
Not both from the fee schedule perspective and seeking to find what firms might be available to us to hire for that sort of work.
Mhm.
I don't know of any off the top of my head, but I'm sure they're out there. That would objectively assess the equipment.
Yep. That's a good point. I'll
Yeah.
call our legal counsel at the association. They're really good at getting back to us.
But that's a good point, if we had some clue as to how much the monitoring might cost,
Right,
it would be
Right.
useful information for
right,
the structure of the fees.
right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Might even throw it out to Dwight or Sean and just see if they know of anybody or, they flow in different circles than we do.
Yeah. Okay, those are good. I will make those inquiries. Okay, we'll defer that until the next meeting and come back with some answers to those questions. Good points.
But I'm substantively comfortable saying we should do something,
Mhm.
it's just the how and the what and the how.
Yeah,
But I don't disagree with the idea of establishing a fee structure.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Okay, good. Okay, the moratorium. Okay, you have a copy of the language in your folder, is that correct?
Yes.
On a yellow sheet,
Yes.
emblematic of spring, maybe? Okay, so this is an amalgam of several moratoria that Bill and Jan had gathered and forwarded to me. And I put this together and then I forwarded to you, and I must say I was impressed with Mr. Buck's reply.
Yeah.
It was substantive, it was useful.
I'm
It
like,
was.
wow.
I did have one. That was,
I got it.
Oh, that's what,
From, Mr. Buck.
okay, okay, you printed.
Yeah.
Okay, so what he's suggesting is that we make it, we include that we are reviewing our comprehensive plan with regard to addressing wireless communication. Secondly, he's recommending a 6-month moratorium, which could be extended by 6 months, but in no way should it last longer than a year. This makes it more likely to pass judicial scrutiny if challenged. You need to complete a seeker and townwide moratorium are subject to 239N review by the county. So I'm not really sure what that means. This would be an unlisted action. And I recommend enacting the law pursuant to your authority under municipal home rule law sections 10, 20 to 27. So I think, based on his recommendations, we should include that language in this moratorium. And he also forwarded all these documents, which if you looked at.
They were great.
Yeah. Lots of information.
I have,
Did you print those?
well, I printed the one because that's the one that they, but I also have a book that has all that in it.
Okay.
did anyone, I didn't quite know where he was going with that last comment in the body of the email after number 4.
I thought he was
Local law.
just giving a further explanation to number 4, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah. 1-year moratorium on issuance of building permits or construction approvals would be vacated due to failure of town board to follow zoning change procedures.
Which is in this adoption of zoning regulations. Which is basically letting everybody know. With notice, like.
The
Just
public
like,
hearing.
yeah, in the public hearing, just like anytime we do a change in zoning law.
Okay. So it was just talking to the need to inform the public.
And do it precisely, I read it as follow the procedures precisely, so you don't shoot yourself in the foot.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Which we do whenever.
Oh,
local
yeah.
laws.
So Jan, would you be willing to revise this draft to include these 4 things that Richard Buck mentioned? And and I did notice in one of the well, actually, we have reference here to a seeker.
And
6 months we can change.
Yeah, he did mention that the moratorium is subject to seeker review. And also that 239M,
Mhm.
I believe any town laws that we pass have to be sent to the county planning board
Correct.
for approval.
And that's just a statute that,
Right.
yeah, defines
Yeah,
that.
we do purposely.
So-
Mhm. Okay, so I think what we need to do is like in section 1 of our draft, reference the comprehensive plan. Change to 6 months, we've already got seeker reference. And we'll have to send this to the county. And I don't know if we're supposed to like put municipal law, home rule sections 10, 20 to 27 in the document, or just follow the rule of those.
None of the samples that I have had any of that in there.
Mhm.
And these,
I think that he's just referring to, we have to follow the rules that are laid down in
Okay,
that section.
okay,
But I didn't see any specifics in any of the laws that I read as far as
right,
the actual statutes.
right, that's what I was saying, the ones that I looked at, I don't think they. I think he's just constantly, we need to make sure we do that.
mhm.
If would that be like, if it was like a motion to pass it, that we would say something like pursuant to these laws, we hereby enact this?
I
Or
think it's
pursuant to the authority
it's
granted.
normal if you're following the rules, so.
Okay. I didn't know if putting it in kind of just shows people that we have that. I don't know. That was the only thing I could think when I read it. Yeah,
We're not following the rules.
right.
Okay, so will you make the modifications to this? And then, Bill, would the planning board be willing to do the seeker?
Yes,
It would be the short form, I presume.
yes.
So that shouldn't be an onerous task, I'm assuming.
Timing wise, would it be possible to get it on the agenda for the upcoming county planning board?
That's Wednesday.
Oh, then
Not
the
this
next,
one, third Wednesday of each one.
okay.
That'd be the
What
one.
would be the following?
Next Wednesday.
No, you have
I was just
to
thinking,
send-
so we don't lose a whole month unnecessarily.
You know, on your terms, you're willing to, shorten the term, but there is nothing in there on extending the term. In case you have to go beyond
Oh,
that,
yeah, we should put something in there.
otherwise you're gonna have to start from square one.
Yeah.
But I heard him saying it should under no circumstances exceed a year.
And that was something that I did notice in some of the other ones that indicated they were passing a 6 month with the option to renew it for 6 months. And one of those has got it in there, Jen.
With the ability of the town to extend it, yeah. An additional 6
Yeah.
months by resolution.
So we should put that in. Good point.
Well, it's in there, right? Shall
Um,
be subject to renewal
Mhm.
under section 4. The second paragraph says this local law shall be subject to renewal. And then just leave it there. How long you want it
Yeah,
for.
for another 6 months. But here we didn't, that was deleted, renewal was deleted because we went for the whole Monte of 1 year. So renewal is not in our draft. Like the first section before.
Yeah, okay, so this is,
So we didn't need to put renewal. Well, it's possible this could be ready if all we're doing is changing the language of the proposal. Possible we could.
Send it to Michelle. We picked up things less
They
time
have.
than that, yeah.
Okay. Do you need a completed seeker for that purpose or?
For law.
It may come up, but I doubt it.
Okay. All right, could you make a note to yourself to get that over there?
well,
That might be the recommendation.
Well, we can talk about it.
yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay,
Didn't realize I was suggesting that it could be next week. I was just thinking, so we didn't come up and miss a whole subsequent.
right,
Yeah.
but if we can reasonably do it that way, we might as well. Okay, do we have anything else that we need to mention on the moratorium draft?
Oh, here.
Right, well, now the thing is, should we set that up for prior to next month's meeting? If we get it to the county planning board,
You could do that.
well, we might as well shoot for it. If we don't make it, we don't make it. Okay, so let's try and get this public hearing 7 o'clock next month, just as we start the monthly meeting in May. Just typically what we do for public hearings.
I don't think you need it you don't have to have a public hearing before the county.
Okay,
No.
okay, good.
Yes, so you're okay.
We can
We
set
do,
that
right.
to the counties and set them in all the surrounding towns.
Right. Especially if there's suggestions.
Okay. Good point. Well, thanks for mentioning that. Anything else we need to consider?
So do you want me to make the changes and send it to everybody before I send it to the county to make sure that the wording is the way you want it?
Yeah, just email it to everyone and then ship it over to the county. Yeah. That way we'll get a couple sets of eyes on it. Okay, are we good?
And the public hearing. that was
Would
the May
be,
meeting.
yeah, May meeting,
So then it would go into effect after the May meeting, so,
after it gets to the state.
That's the time.
so June probably. So it'd be,
But then, I don't know how long it takes them to do it.
Once it's filed with them, which is I believe the day they receive it, I believe it comes back.
Hmm.
They usually send me back a little card saying that they received it.
that'd be
You
kind
email it to them.
of convenient, would run for the rest of the calendar year.
I think
It
because
could
it
be
has
up in
gone
January.
before
Okay,
if you needed to.
on this one. Let's see, they mark it.
okay. Okay, anything else on that? Okay, just a little update on solar projects. I was talking to Dwight. And we're going to have a meeting on May 4th with Northland Power, Dwight, myself, and Craig Clark, IDA, to talk about a pilot. And so I was asking him about how these work. So what he said, my understanding is for Delaware River, they will probably request to work out a pilot once they receive approval to interconnect to the grid. And he's anticipating that would be about $12,000 a year to the town from the host community agreement. So, because I asked him, it was kind of strange that we were hearing from Northland Power to do a pilot, and they're not as far along as Delaware. But then he said, with regard to Northland Power, he said the big ones, because they're under 94C, they tend to follow a different pattern. And so they like to get a sense of what the pilot's going to be early on. And then I was asking him, what can we get from them? And we're going to get for the fire company, and Sean and I met with the fire company, something like $200,000 for a side-by-side. Does that make sense, or did I write down the wrong thing? There was big numbers. It was a couple $100,000 for the fire company,
For what?
whatever a side-by-side
What is that?
is.
Like a UTV. It's like
That's a big one.
200.
Well, it's either have fire, it probably have, be set up to fight fire, so.
Wow,
I think I
very-
got the wrong label for this.
Okay.
What they were talking about was like 220,000. It was some big piece of equipment.
It's not like a Polaris.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I don't know, that's the first I heard of it.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'm the wrong messenger on fire equipment, but it was I know the number. I don't
something
know
that the
piece.
fire department probably has said, we could use this to good advantage.
Yes.
I get that, okay.
And they're happy about that. And so he said the basis for them paying for that upfront is because to compensate for the fire company's ability to get up there in the event there's some sort of emergency and they have to service it. So then he said that what has happened in other towns like Burns, they had given some upfront money, sort of a goodwill gesture, I guess, that's separate from the host community agreement. Now, Dwight is saying we're looking at somewhere around maybe 150, 200,000 a year in the host community agreement. But he said that in the town of Burns, they gave him $10,000 up front for their, as you know, everyone's noticed their funky little jail in Castleton.
Mm.
They want to rehab that and put in a parking lot and so on and so forth. So they gave them $10,000. That's not part of the host community agreement. And then they advanced them another 15,000 as an advance on the host community agreement. So this was before the project started, right? So they're just giving some money early on. So basically, we are in a position where we can ask for something. And it's something I'm gonna bring up, I'm just gonna, confirm all this when we meet on May 4th. But the point is, if they're willing to contribute something to the town up front, I'm calling it a goodwill gesture, we should be willing to take it. So I think we need to be thinking about it.
Sean had mentioned, you might want to talk to Sean, because he's very familiar with what, I don't think it was Northland, the one in Mount Morris. They set up a scholarship fund for seniors going into this field. They sponsored softball teams, soccer teams.
They put the charging stations in somewhere, was that not Mount
Mhm.
Morris?
Mount Morris.
I mean, that's,
I had sent that list along a while back. I had sent that list along a while back. EV chargers were on there. Support for rooftop solar, small wind. Water treatment
A lot of grants
system
and that
upgrades.
stuff too, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we're, apparently, my understanding is with regard to Northland, we're getting to the point where we need to be ready to say, okay, we want some, we'll take this.
well, and I think.
You already got money for that.
I said 2022 back.
No, it'll be like in 2026 or something.
But to
I'm
think back
definitely,
to, go ahead, Matthew.
I'm definitely still very curious about the opportunity to get discounted electric for the town of Alfred, Village of Alfred residents.
I asked about
I don't
that.
know if that's, through ORES or if that's through the host community agreement and how that works, but
I asked Dwight about that, and he said, and I think it's called the community, wait a minute here, did I write it down? Well, at any rate, it's conducted by the solar company. In other words, where you can get everybody in the town, he said like a 10% discount on their electricity bills. But my understanding is that is enacted or organized or operationalized by the solar company. So I'm gonna find out more about that, but. he
yeah,
said-
it seems like it should be a lot more significant than that. Because they're,
Yeah, maybe it should. be.
we could potentially use up to 10% of what they can produce, or give or take. And they have practically no distribution costs because it's right here.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think we need to find out more about it, sure. Now, the other thing he said, in terms of how people are using the post-community agreement monies, he said most of the towns that he's aware of are doing it as a combination strategically between tax reduction and government services. So he just offered that. As to how they are using the money from the big projects. Like.
Yeah.
So again, that we have time to work on, because I don't think this project's gonna be up and running until 23 or 24 or 25. And that's when the money starts. But they do give us some upfront money, which may be somewhat soon, so we probably should be ready for that.
Do I dare suggest we get a sidewalk machine?
Uh,
The guy that drives it.
Bring that up to the.
That's only a possibility.
Can you strike that from the record, Ian?
So we do need to get us some thought, and hopefully I'll have a little more to go on after this meeting on May 4th.
One dump truck.
Thinking back through, I've only been here for a couple budget cycles, but over time, are there certain things that keep coming up as wouldn't it be wonderful?
New equipment.
Well, I think we have two different lines of thought here in terms of these monies, like the upfront money, the goodwill money, maybe we get a little something for the town, but the town government. But for the big money, I'm thinking, we need to do something that's going to benefit everybody in the town.
Absolutely.
And how we do that, I don't know, but I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
I think, decreasing taxes is the best way. And if we can decrease electric bills at the same time, that's a double plus.
Absolutely.
Everybody uses electric and everybody pays taxes.
Right, but for all of our tax bills, the town portion is by far the smallest.
Well, that's,
So a reduction in the town portion,
it's gonna be hard to
that'd be
tell.
nice, but
It's about
Yeah, but-
30% of your
Yeah.
property tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It still adds
but
up
we
though.
Shouldn't do it.
Does the
Agreed.
county as IDA as facilitator of the pilot, do they take a chunk of the pilot or do they just facilitate the conversation?
They can offer something.
Yeah,
Yeah, they get something. I don't know how that works.
the school, we don't know because they opted out, but
Dwight said most of them that have opted out of 487
Back
come
in.
back in. They find out it's better kind of.
okay.
But he did say that we'll basically, between the pilot and the host community, get 50% of that.
So that 150 to 200 you mentioned is the whole pie to be broken 3 ways, or that's our.
That's our
chunk?
pie.
Okay,
That's ours.
that's good.
I don't
So,
think anybody else gets part of those community.
Oh, right, that's the host community. So then there's pilot on top of that. Okay.
and one thing Dwight said is, when you consider reducing taxes, you gotta plan for when it runs out.
Yeah.
Because if you're on the board when it runs out, the taxes go up by 50%. Yeah, he didn't say that, I'm just throwing it out, but it's a consideration. Okay, so that's pretty much what I've got there. And other comments on this? Okay. The other thing we need to be talking about is our rescue plan monies. Jan has compiled a total that to date we have spent $4,480, and now we just
Plus the 13.
now we've got the owl. So we're 6380. $6,380 out of 50,000,
50,000 this year.
right? And when do we have to,
I have the first reports due April 30th.
and that report has to say our intention to spend the money, not that we spend it.
We have to tell them what we have spent and how we spent it. I honestly don't know what else is in the report. They're gonna actually have a webinar on it because people are having such a.
Okay. Well, regardless of when we report it, we need to talk about how we're gonna spend another roughly $43,000
for the first installment,
for the
then
first
there's,
installment. So we need to be coming up with ideas.
and what limitations, what's off the table?
Okay,
What can it not
I
be?
have this document here that can.
We talked about the parking lot.
Right,
Yeah, do we have any more idea on cost on that?
Pardon me?
Do we have any more idea on cost if we were to do the parking lot?
Bob has some numbers. Parking lot numbers.
50 to 70,000.
50 to 70,000 to have it done for us. Here's what's in the document as far as constraints. It says, under the final rule, Treasury Department, all recipients are now eligible to use the standard allowance. Okay? By selecting the standard allowance, you can use your rescue monies for providing governmental services up to the lesser of your award or $10 million. Government services broaden the use of funds and even include maintenance of roads. A few items that do not qualify as governmental services are offset the tax revenues, excess deposits to pension funds, contributions to reserves or rainy day funds, payments for settlements or judgments, payments for long or short-term debt, and pre-existing federal statutes. So it looks fairly wide open.
Yes.
And they did that because most of the towns just could not spend the money for what the original regulations were.
Infrastructure's on there, isn't it?
Well, these are
That was
prohibited.
in the original.
That's permitted, yeah. Broadband and water and sewage infrastructure is permitted. This is what's precluded. So at some point, we've got to make some decisions. So I don't know when we want to do that, but what is the thinking of the board?
So equipment is not ruled out, either road building and equipment are open.
It says includes maintenance of roads. Now, how do you interpret maintenance of roads? But that's not precluded.
Right, it doesn't say it precludes equipment. Often it'll say precludes property, precludes equipment, and it doesn't say that.
Right. But now, once again, so this is federal money that came from the federal government that every taxpayer paid for. So do we want to spend it on our government, our local government, or do we want it to go out into the community or some blend? I don't know.
I think we definitely want to try and use it much to the benefit of the whole town. Yeah. You know, I think we've done that well with getting the Zoom, you know, improved because that's usable for everybody.
So it'll be, we've got 50 with minus what we've spent already this year and then another 50 next year. Is that it?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Yeah.
This year we got 50 in 2021.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically, we've got $94,000.
It's just nothing compared to what the village got. What are you gonna spend your?
We got 400.
Oh, good for you.
We
But
decided,
a lot of it is infrastructure. We're gonna replace some water lines on Hillcrest Drive because we had, in the last 3 years, we've had 4 to 5 breaks on that line, so.
Well, relative to the size of our tax levy, which is about 550,000, this is not small thing.
No, it is not.
So we need to have a plan to come up with some ideas. I'm open to suggestions.
I'd like an addition for storage.
Okay.
Well, that's been,
You've seen.
you've been talking, yeah,
I
that's
got
been
in
going
and out
on for
of
4 or 5 years that I know.
All of our records are presently being scanned. They are at the place where they're being scanned, but we still have to keep our copies. But that'll make it easier to go research stuff.
If you're a contortionist, you can get in and out of the line.
Well, going back to service, what would benefit the community the most?
Mhm.
Roads, access to records, what else?
would we open a can of worms if we were to put a survey on the website requesting input from the community?
I don't know. It might be a good idea. I don't know. We might feel compelled to follow it even if we didn't want to. But
I think the Association of Towns might have something that they're working on to let you know what other towns are doing with their money.
Oh, that'd be helpful.
Just,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure I read something. just to give you an idea.
The thing, although what the town of Burns did pertains to solar, the fact that they did think, or Mount Morris, like having scholarships or softball teams. That kind of thinking, you know, is kind of out of the box. I mean, we're talking about roads and I'm not against storage. But what I'm saying is maybe we need to think outside the box here. I don't know what those may be, but
So how come we don't wanna pay the parking lot?
I don't think anybody's against paving the parking lot. I don't think we want to spend that amount of money, I'm guessing.
Well, the parking lot gets worse and worse and worse, and I can't keep up with it. When it rains here, come out here, this is like a mud battle.
Yep,
I'm fighting with mud in the shop. I lay in the mud when we're working on a truck.
it's a mess.
It's a mess. Now you got this place here, you cleaned up pretty good. If it rains, you're gonna be tracking mud in here. You got the perfect environment to do it.
Well, it's something we have to talk about. I mean, it does have the advantage of benefiting every member of the community who comes into the building.
Especially voting time.
Hmm.
It's November usually, and there's a mess out there.
So that might be appropriate. I think we should have that on our list of things.
I think it's a great idea. I think we should see if we can find another way to do it more cost effectively, whether it's with the county or whether, I don't know what options we have, but it seems like we should be able to cut the cost on that somehow. Get more bang for our buck.
The only thing is doing the shared services is, and now you're pulling me from Robertburg, and I gotta stay here for a week or so with the county. I gotta haul material. I gotta reach other townships to do this. And now you're stopping me from Robertburg. I prefer to go just have somebody else do it. I'll prep the work, then let them put the blacktop, and that cuts me where I can keep doing road work when it needs to be.
Well, we have to give this some more thought. And we have to get, you know, some good ideas here. If we spent, what was the lowest number? 54? 50?
50,000, I got 50,000, 124.84
And that's to go from Shaw Road, how far?
to the end of there, just to the end of the building,
And how
all the way
far?
out to pretty close to that dumpster up there.
So that would leave us still $44,000 left for other things. We did that. And what do you have to do if you did the prep?
All thing I do is put it, cut it down to where it needs to be, and slope it just enough for them. Now that low bid that I just told you, through Suco, I have to haul material for them, because they don't have their own truck.
Haul it from where?
From
Larry's?
Hornell to you. The middle one is 60, Dolomite came in at, $61,710.
You'd be willing to do the 51 if the board spent?
Well, that's what I got to, that's. But
What about the base? I mean, what do we do as far as the base for
But
that?
I think you got enough base in there, because you've been putting gravel in there for who knows how many years.
Yeah.
I think the base would be hard enough.
Is there a change in the stormwater management, like, because it would go from permeable to non, or does it still?
I wouldn't see where it would change.
Where would it drain to?
It's the same, like, keep doing what it's doing right now. There's a like a little void there, and it just kind of goes out in the yard. That ain't gonna change.
Is there a storm drain out there?
No, it just, the way this driveway slopes, it slopes towards that red dumpster, and then it kind of leaches like towards 21. So we'll keep doing what it's doing.
Well, how long is that bid good for?
He didn't say, But you probably, if we're gonna do this, the way the numbers and the oil prices are jumping around,
Yeah.
you probably don't wanna wait too long.
Well,
We don't have the other 50,000 yet.
well, that's true, but we have some cash. What do we have? That will come out of A? Right.
When do you get the other 50,000?
Sure.
No,
Sometime this year.
sometime this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
coming right up, isn't it June
Something like that.
sometime?
Maybe. I don't know when we got it last year.
Well, we've got in the cash account for the town A fund, about 300,000. Now, obviously, we have commitments, but if we have 44 and that's 52 of the 8,000, so we could fund the 8,000 until we got our next payment. Why don't we think about this and get a decision? If something else comes up. In terms of getting this on a timely basis, we could always have a Zoom meeting and make a decision before the May meeting.
Couple days, 2 days probably. Okay. It'll probably take 3 or 4, because you're gonna take, I don't know, it'll probably take a day or so.
Right.
Probably.
All right, so I think I'd like us to consider doing that 52,000, whatever it was. Roughly. Very well.
5184 was the lowest.
512484.
Okay. All right, let's give that some thought and make it, and I'm gonna call a Zoom meeting here in a week or so. Make a decision. Okay, does that make sense to everyone?
In the meantime, how far did we get with the, I know it was beyond the scope of just the vault expansion, but didn't we get drawings for what we had planned out for an expanded office area that included a vault?
We never got that far.
We didn't get that far.
Did we get any ballpark pricing on it? I thought we at least had an idea what it would cost.
We were going to apply for money from the joint court, JAC, whatever that is. And they would give, you could get up to $30,000, which wouldn't build anything. But if you combine it with the village, you could get 60,000. And if we stored all the records here, but then court is up there and it just didn't make sense. So that's as far as I got.
I feel like we had gotten a ballpark and it was more than that 60 or close to that 60, but I can't remember.
We have that masonry. Yeah, what's his name?
Richard?
Yeah, that could be.
Have to be better than that, so.
Yeah.
And it was gonna go out where the last wall is, you know, that's what that was set up for. And that's still not a bad idea if we have the money for it. Okay, are we done with this topic? Is the money roll over? What money?
The ARP, you have to spend it by 2024.
Right, okay,
Or at
but
least
whatever you
have it
didn't spend this
designated.
year rolls over to
Yes.
next year, right?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Just have to either spend or committed.
That's. Okay, just thought.
Bob, do you wanna update us on the tractor and boom mower?
Alright, so the tractor king is sitting off the Java. We called the Tiger Mower Company where we decided to buy the first mower from. They called back and said they can't mount that tractor. So I've been running around. I found another mowing company that builds these and they can mount to the traction. So now we gotta redo all this. all over again.
What's the last you heard from Java?
I just talked to him as I was pulling in the driveway. So the tractor's sitting in Java. They're gonna go through it. The other mower is called the Diamond mower. So it's a little cheaper. It is 71,692 for just a mower.
Is it equivalent?
What's that?
You said it was a little cheaper. Is it
Cheaper,
an
yeah.
an equivalent?
Yeah, it's the same thing. They're the top mower, side boom mower companies are the only ones, but, so now you're told with the tractor and that mower, you're at 124,892.
So it's lower.
So it's lower. We're at like, I think the first quote was 130 something.
Where is the boom? located?
It's, the boom gets built out in South Dakota and it gets shipped here. And then when the mower gets here, Java will come here and grab the tractor and take it where it needs to be.
And that doesn't get here until later.
Probably a week. The tractor will probably, we'll have our hands on the tractor. As
But the motor won't get here till like
in
November.
November, it's like 28 weeks out now.
So as far as doing mowing with the new
I'll just
tractor,
keep doing what we've been doing in the past. I'll just use the little mower we got.
also you use the Kubota,
Well, I use the new tractor.
the new tractor with the old
Little
motor.
mower, correct.
Okay. All right, so we'll have to approve a new contract once they get their numbers all together, right? Okay. All right, so that's been quite a saga, but thanks for all your hard work on that.
So, Jan, that,
So do you need them to approve?
yeah, probably need to reapprove this,
But we don't have a contract from them yet.
but you gotta pass this first.
For the
Oh,
change in
So the
invoice.
change, yes,
We don't have a finance contract is what you're saying, Dan.
Yeah, we don't have
For
a-
the 3-year.
but we had to approve it first, saying that, hey, we're gonna do this, then remember when we met the other
And
day,
then he'll write up the
he'll
contract.
write that up again.
Okay, so I move that we go ahead and buy the diamond mower in place of the 20-foot Tiger mower.
A second?
All in favor of discussion?
Aye.
All in favor, aye? Okay, so we approve making that switch and then we'll wait for him to get a contract to us. Okay,
Is that what you need, Jan?
That's what I need.
Well, I mean, is that what we need in minutes, though, do we need like,
Yeah, they approved that.
okay, I guess that's all I had. I thought I had something else, but. Okay,
you need to source all of that in there, about the state.
Yeah, we were, I was telling you about the last one, when you approved buying the mower, you didn't include any reason why it wasn't bid. And there really should be something in the minutes saying that it's being purchased off this source, whatever.
So the diamond mower is coming through the source well. And the tractor is coming through OMAN parts. Yeah.
And that's the state.
Parts, yeah, that's how I talked, that's what I was talking to, I don't remember on the driveway. That's why we don't have,
That's
to
under
go out-
state contract.
that's why we don't not go out to bid.
It's just good to have that kind of stuff in the minutes.
all right. Right. Town clerk's report, anything there, Jane? Okay. We already talked about roof and power. Any new business? I want to go into executive session on personnel matters at the end of this meeting. but Do you have anything else?
Yeah, Bob had asked me to look into a couple hazard mitigation grants that he had become aware of.
Okay,
And one of the things that was a possibility was a generator, but it made sense to see what else was possible. So I had sent out to each of you. I just essentially went through the 2 grants and said, now this is what it can be used for. These are the hazards it can be supposed, geared toward mitigating. One of them just this week got changed from a 75% federal share to a 90.
Right. But don't forget that when, it only comes up when FEMA money comes up. That's what puts that into effect. And what they do is they open up the list and then they go through the lists for approval. And then at the end of that year, you have to start over again. Just square one, you have to resubmit for a new generator. We have generators on, although I managed to go through, we're gonna get it through our rescue money. The one for the fire department got a generator. We use the rescue money to use for theirs, but it's a pain.
Anything federal is always a pain. The higher up it goes, the bigger a pain that it is.
The number of hoops you have to jump through. to
Is-
get it.
Federal is just so nasty. But the one that had gone to 90%, Allegheny was one of the declared counties,
Right.
so.
So what should we do about this right now? Are you making a recommendation?
No, I don't know enough about it to make the recommendation. I had done some
Okay.
research for,
For the request.
I'm
I think
sorry,
it's Bonnie Goodrich, whatever. That's what
By
it's-
some emergency
Right,
management.
you have to go through rural
Yeah,
department to be able.
Because they have all the list of who qualifies for FEMA money.
Right,
Because when there's a FEMA disaster, you have to submit to them, so, because a lot of times they can take the county as a whole to come up with that dollar amount.
right.
But if we didn't actually have any damage dollar.
Yeah.
First, then we would not be eligible, the county might be,
Right.
and I don't, we haven't had that deal.
Last time we used it was the Sibley Road
Yeah.
washout.
It's one of those
Yeah,
grants you don't hold
Jamie's.
your breath on.
Oh, I know.
Do we just have to have had road damage or how does that qualify?
Which one?
We have to have submitted
Yeah.
a FEMA claim, right?
What's that?
We have to have submitted a FEMA
Yeah,
claim
yeah.
associated with that event.
Yes.
Right.
So,
I would have to go out and take pictures and have some management. Come up with an estimate of the amount of damage.
We had that on water wells many years ago.
Okay.
was that a FEMA project
Mhm.
by Rich Hoffman's?
Mhm.
That's right, okay.
Okay, anything else that we need to talk about tonight? So I would like to go to executive session on litigation, right? And personnel, just briefly update the board.
Right, just let me pause the recording here. I'm gonna put Christelle in the reading room.
I second. So we're back into the general session. Is there any other business to come before the board? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Matthew. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
All right.
Have a good evening.
You too,
Yeah, you
Matthew.
too,
Matthew.